Hey everybody, John from Wire here. And in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a Shopify store from start to finish in 30 minutes or less. I'll walk you through each part of the process as we begin setting up our store and go through the main setup processes to get your store up and running in front of your customers. A quick note before you begin, there's a link in this video description that will take you to this page directly. This comes at no additional cost to you, and if you use my link, I get a little bit of a commission if you go through the process and sign up. I've used Shopify for many years, and I'm more than happy to help you and answer any questions that you have if you leave a comment at the bottom of this video. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started and take advantage of 3 months for $1 and 3 days absolutely free. So to begin and to get to this page, just click on the link at the bottom of this video and we'll go ahead and get started by entering our email address in the box right here. So I'm going to use wirewebsite@gmail.com. Of course, you'll enter your email address. And next, it's going to ask you a little bit about your business. So I'm going to say that I'm just starting. And you can skip all of these questions too, but it might restrict your access to some of the different tools that you'll see immediately when you log into your account. I'm going to skip this for now, but feel free to go and fill out the different options within this sign up process. And then finally, do you want to sell products through drop shipping? I won't be selling products through drop shipping, but just for those that want to see the different options that are available, you can either select yes or I'm not sure. Now I'm going to click on next. And now this is the process where you name your store. So I'm just going to call it Wire Online Store. And this is a opportunity that you have to change your My Shopify URL. If you're going to add a different URL that doesn't use the My Shopify name, you don't need to worry too much about what the previous part of the My Shopify URL is. We can always change this later on. I'm going to click on next. And then finally, I'm going to select my business location, which I'm located in the United States. Then click on next. All right, so the next process is to create a Shopify ID. If you already have a Shopify account, you can click on the login button. But for me, I'm going to continue with email and then enter a password for my Shopify account. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, click on create Shopify ID, and then I'll see you on the next page. Okay, so I've entered my password and now my store is being created. This will only take about a minute. And if you go into your email, you'll see that it has an email from Shopify that is asking you to confirm your email address. So let's go ahead and do this first. So log into your email address and click on the confirm email button that's arrived. And then you'll see that your email has been verified. You don't need to click on any of these links. We can go directly back into the Shopify store. Okay, so now that we're back in our store, there's a few things that we need to cover on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side. So on the right-hand side next to your name is going to be your manage account button and a list to all of your different stores if you have multiple. On the left-hand side, it's going to give you a menu of all your different store items, including the settings for your store located right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through this setup guide and complete these tasks first. So I'm not going to set up drop shipping because I have no drop shipping products to sell. But if you do have drop shipping products to sell, you can click on that button, which will show you a bunch of different apps, which will get you started in finding different products to sell, different fulfillment processes, and ability to kind of see what your competition is doing as well. I'm going to skip this step and I'm going to click on Add Brand Assets. And then once I do this, I'll be taken to the brand section where I can add my logo and I can add different colors and set the defaults for my store. So I'm going to go ahead and add my logo and then we'll go to the color section. All right, and I can see what my logo looks like. Then I'll click on done. So now I have a nice little display on the right-hand side of what it's going to look like. And if I have a square logo, I can go ahead and add one here as well. They do have a different options to create a logo based on some of the Shopify tools that they have by default. So if you don't have a logo, you can click here and you'll be able to create one just based on some different templates that they have. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add a primary color. And I want to match some of the blue that I already have in my URL or in my logo at the top. And then finally, my contrasting color, I'm okay with leaving this white. Should be a different color from your primary color. All right, and then I'm going to add a cover image. So this will be at the top of your page and it'll also show in your brand profile. And for this, I'm just going to use a stock photo that I got from internet. If you are looking for stock photography and you're not sure where to go, I'll include a link at the bottom of this video on some free stock photography sites. There's also burst.shopify.com. Burst gives you the ability to see all the free photos from Shopify itself that you can use in all of your marketing. So I'm going to choose something like this and download the free photo. Now I'll go back to my store and then just drag and drop this stock photo here. Great. So now this is the cover image. I'll add a slogan. And then a short description about my store. I'm not going to enter a whole fake description. I'm just going to put some content here just so you can see what this looks like on the page where we're going to see the display of all this information. Finally, one of the most important things is your social links. So make sure that you are linking to all your various social medias. Just for the purpose of demonstration, if you were going to link to a Facebook URL, you want to make sure that you are linking directly to your public facing Facebook URL, not any admin URL or any type of management URL. In order to find your public Facebook URL, it's super easy. Just go to Facebook and look at the page that your customers see. So if I were to do wire.com Facebook, it'll probably take me directly to my Facebook account and my Facebook page for my business. So I'm going to include this as the link to my Facebook account right here. All right, so now once we've added all of these different details, we're going to click on Save. And the branding has been saved for my Shopify account. Okay, so now if we go all the way back to the setup guide, you can find the setup guide on the home page. So on the left-hand side, if you ever want to get back to the list of options here, click on Home on the left-hand side. We're next going to select and customize a theme. Now, Shopify makes this really easy if you want to test out different themes for your store. You can browse all the different themes that they have on the Shopify theme store and then see a preview of what each one of those themes is going to look like on your store itself. So by default, they have the Dawn theme, which is added to your Shopify store. But let's say that I wanted to test out a premium theme, or I wanted to see a different theme that might look good for my store. The way I can do this is at the bottom where it says explore more themes. If I visit the theme store and I'm logged into my account, I'll be able to preview any of these different paid themes or free themes on my store. So for example, let's just take the first one right here. Rome is a premium theme, obviously, based on the $240 that it's going to cost. But if you notice, I have the ability to try the theme. So I can click on this, and in doing so, I can see exactly what this will look like on the store itself. Great. Okay, and you can see the Rome theme is right here from a theme trial. So now that the Rome theme has been added to my Shopify store, if I click on the three dots right here, I can preview the theme as it will show up on my Shopify store itself. So this allows me to kind of see what the theme layout is, the different options, and I can also customize each one of these different pieces before I actually go and buy the theme itself. If at any point in time you want to share a preview of the theme of what you're working on with another person, you can click on this share preview button, which allows you to copy this special link and share it with different people that work with you. So maybe a different developer or a designer. If you copy this link and share it with them, they'll be able to see everything that you're working on. But obviously they won't be able to buy any products or make an account or anything like that. So this theme looks pretty good. If I wanted to purchase this theme, I can click on the buy theme button. We're actually not going to buy a theme today. We're going to use one of the free themes that is included in Shopify. And if you want to see all the different free themes, you can click on the visit theme store. And then once you are on the theme store, just on the left-hand side, select free. And then you have 11 different themes to choose from. And they're all really, really good. Shopify has spent a lot of time and energy and money in making these themes really, really good for any type of purpose that you need. Obviously, there's a bunch more paid themes as well if you want to go that route, but you could get by just fine with the free themes that Shopify includes. Okay, so now that we've selected a theme, we're going to go with the default Dawn theme, but of course, choose whatever theme that you end up using. We have the ability to customize the theme. So if we click on the Customize button, there is a lot of different options on the left-hand side and a lot of different buttons on this page. So let's break this down really slowly. On the left-hand side, you're going to have 3 different areas. So the first area is sections, so sections of the page that you're viewing. The next page is default and global theme settings. So for example, if you wanted to set the primary colors for your theme, which applies all across the website, you do so within the theme settings area. And then finally, app embeds. So you can think of app embeds as if it was a third-party component that you can add to your Shopify store. An example would be maybe you want like an Instagram photo reel, or maybe you wanted an email sign-up form. There are so many apps that you can choose from on the Shopify App Store. Product reviews is an example. If you want a really good list of some of my top Shopify app picks, take a look at the link in the bottom of this video. I have 7 or 8 apps that I use in almost every single one of my stores, and they really, really help me in driving more sales. So feel free to check that out as well. And then at the top of the page, you'll have a different type of navigation. This top navigation dropdown allows you to select the current page that you want to go and edit. So right now we are obviously on the home page, but let's say that I wanted to go and see a product page. We can go and look at the default product, or we can create a brand new template to use. But if we wanted to go and modify different pages, we can go and do it from the top page right here. And then on the right-hand side, it allows you to select whether you're viewing desktop mode or mobile. So if I wanted to swap this to mobile, this is what it's going to look like on someone's phone. And then finally, on the far left, we have the ability to go back into the Shopify Admin Center. We have the ability to see different types of theme content and more advanced options if you are a theme developer or editor. And also we have the ability to see what the status of this theme is. So because we have this theme live, it'll show live. Of course, if it's not live, it'll have a different thing that says pending. So this is it. It's pretty easy to modify different elements of your store. Typically what I like to do is I like to do it in desktop mode, and because it gives me more ability to work with and a lot more space. And then I'll switch to mobile right after I make a change, just to make sure it looks fine within mobile itself. So for example, let's say that I wanted to add something at the top. I wanted to add an About Us page. To do so, on the right-hand side, you'll see after I've selected the header, I have a bunch of different options right here. At the bottom right here, it says main menu. So I can change the menu or modify the menu if I click on this little button right here. So here I'm in the online store settings under navigation, and you can see the menu items that were displayed just a second earlier. So I'm going to add a menu item, and it's going to be called About Us. And then of course I'm going to link to the About Us page, which we'll make in just a second. So for now, let me link to a page. And then we don't have a About Us page created. So to do this, we're going to go into the Pages section under Online Store. We're going to click on Add Page, and then we'll just create it and call it the About Us page. Creating pages is really important for SEO. You want to make sure that you are editing your website SEO so that all the different details here is correct and accurate. This is what the search engines are going to pick up about your store. So make sure out of everything that you do that these are really well thought out and that you're making use of the SEO preview at the bottom of each page. This is going to be good for now. I'm going to click on Save. And then I'm going to go back into the navigation section of my online store. Click on the main menu, which is where we were editing earlier. And then I'm going to click on Add Menu Item. Enter About Us. And then I'm going to select the page that I just created. And here's that About Us page that we just added. All right, so I'm going to click on Add. And then finally, I'm going to be able to move this menu item anywhere that I want. So if I wanted it right after the home button, I can also put it as a subset or a drop down of the home button. So you'll see when we go back into the theme preview, this allows me to have a drop down next to home. Wouldn't recommend doing this a lot, except maybe for your catalogs, but just to show you what it looks like, go back to save menu, and then we can go back into our theme preview. And you'll notice we have a nice little drop down arrow here with the About Us page that we just created. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty easy to edit other sections. Keep in mind that if you are modifying individual products, you're actually going to be doing that from the admin center. So you won't be doing that from your theme page. And at any point in time, if you've made a change or maybe you've made a different modification to your store, just make sure that you're clicking on save in the upper right hand corner so that all your changes are saved. So again, as I said earlier, I want to make sure that this looks fine in desktop and in mobile. Looks fine to me. Now I can go and exit this page and go back to my online store. So by default, your theme and all of your store pages are locked, and you won't be able to view this if you are a regular customer. If you want to give access to maybe a developer or a different person that you're working with for your store, you can click on the button that says See Store Password, which allows you to share the password with anyone to see the store that you have. Just make sure that you send them to the URL on myshopify.com. The other thing that you can do if you want to provide a preview is add a user to your account. So if you go under Settings, and then you click on Users and Permissions, you have the ability to add staff accounts to your Shopify store. So if I click on the Add Staff button, I can enter the first name, the last name, and the email of the user that I want to add. And then I can give them certain permissions based on this section right here. There's a lot of different granular permissions that you can choose from. By default, I usually leave administration unchecked for every staff account that I add, because administration is one of the most important places in your Shopify store, and you really don't want to be messing around with these settings or allow anybody else to mess around with it except yourself. As soon as you've entered this information, just click on the Send Invite button, which will appear right here, and they'll get an email within the email you've specified to go and join your Shopify store. All right, so we've gone and we've modified our theme. We've gone and we've looked at the different brand assets that we can add. Now we're going to add a custom domain. So this part is very important. You can go and you can buy a new domain from Shopify. Absolutely can go and do that. Or you can connect an existing domain. This is a tip that I picked up. Do not buy a new domain from Shopify. It is more expensive. And more importantly, every year when the domain renews, you're going to pay a lot more money than if you just connected an existing domain. So to make this extremely easy for you, I've gone and created a whole separate video on how you can go to a third-party service called Namecheap, purchase your domain, and then connect it to your Shopify store. And it'll save you hundreds of dollars at the end of the multiple years you're going to have your store just in renewal fees alone. I'll link to that video at the bottom of the description and potentially in the upper right-hand corner if you're viewing this on a web browser. But this is going to save you a lot of time and money instead of buying the domain right off of Shopify itself. Once you've gone through and looked at that video and added your custom domain, it's going to appear within the bottom of this page right here. As soon as it is included right here, you'll just click on it, and this is the one that you're going to use going forward instead of the wire-website.myshopify.com. So what this will do for your customers is that they'll be able to go directly to your domain and then see your theme and the different settings that you have set up, and of course, purchase products. All right, so one of the final things is adding and setting up Shopify payments. So you have a few different options when it comes to payment providers. What I would recommend by default is to activate Shopify payments. And in order to do so, it's going to ask you a bunch of different information about your business. So I'm going to go through this process really quickly and show you what this looks like once it's done. Okay, so now that I've entered my business information, there's 3 things that has to happen. I need to submit details about my business, and this includes any type of tax information. You'll only get to this section if you selected this as a registered business during that setup step. And then it'll also ask you to secure your account with two-step authentication. What this does is require you to enter a code either via an authentication app or via text message that you receive every time you log into your Shopify account. And then finally, add banking information to receive payments. Each one of these steps is optional if you are not a registered business, but if you do have an LLC or a corporation, you will be required to go through these steps in order to set up payments through Shopify payments. There's a few different options that you can choose if you don't want to accept Shopify payments. So in order to see what those options are, click back into payments. So in the payment section, there's a bunch of additional payment methods that you can add to your store, including PayPal, Amazon Pay, and a bunch of others if you click on the Add Payments button. You can also select manual payment methods. So what this is that you'll be able to select cash on delivery or a bank deposit or maybe a money order, as if a customer were coming to you physically and giving you one of these items or sending money to your bank via wire transfer. I really wouldn't recommend setting up these different custom payment methods unless you are dealing with very large item or very large amount purchases, and if you are meeting these people in person, like at a physical store, to confirm that they are who they say they are. It's much better to run all your payments through one of the payment providers. That way they can check for fraud and you're not having to deal with wire transfers to your bank back and forth. So 2 suggestions there. Once you have set up your payment providers, you'll be able to select which ones you want to display within your Shopify store checkout page. And you'll be able to do this based on the account setup section once you go and complete your account setup. So the next thing we're going to do is add a product. So in order to do so, let's go into the Shopify Admin Center again. And on the left-hand side, we're going to click on Products. So I'm going to go and click on Add Your Product and walk you through the process to add one to your store. So the first product we're going to add is a t-shirt, and we're going to write a description about the t-shirt, but I'm pretty much just going to copy and paste just for a demonstration. Notice that you can embed certain items within this description. So if I wanted to include a video, I can go and include some iframe code right here. If you want to see how you can embed a YouTube video in this section to show customers what a video of your product looks like, I also have a tutorial on how to do this, and I'll link to that at the bottom of this video as well. There's also the ability, if you're getting really creative, to go and add different tables of like different statistics or metrics of your product. And you can also, if you're very, very advanced, show the HTML itself and modify the HTML as it appears within the description. So the next section is media. So this could be any images or videos or 3D models. I'm going to go and add an example of a t-shirt in this section and show you what it looks like. All right, so I've uploaded a photo of the t-shirt that I'm selling, and then I'll be able to create a product category. All right, and I'm going to choose clothing and shirts and tops. Okay, so on the right-hand side, there's more metadata about your product itself. The product type is a t-shirt. The vendor is whatever vendor that you purchase this from. And then collection. So a collection is a group of products. You can imagine that you want to have all of your t-shirts, if you're selling t-shirts, in one collection, but maybe you have a more special collection for summer outfits, or maybe you have a collection for certain types of users. Maybe you have athletic t-shirts. So you can create as many collections as you want. Just make sure that you're displaying the right collections to users when they visit your page. And you can modify this at any point in time on the theme editor and also your menu editor that we talked about earlier. So for example, I'm going to create a summer outfits collection. And then I'm going to add tags, summer, t-shirt, red for the color of the shirt, and maybe men's. Going to add a price. And the compare at price allows you to show a reduced price on your store. And we'll see what this looks like in just a minute. And then cost per item. So the cost per item section allows you to have advanced metrics on how much profit you're actually making for each item that you sell. Customers aren't going to see how much it costs for each one of the items that you have in your store, but it's important later on that you input this data just so you know how your sales are doing. Let's say, for example, that it cost me $5 to get the shirt. It's going to give me a 50% profit margin because I'm selling it for $10. So I'll profit $5 at the end. And then inventory, a stock keeping unit. A stock keeping unit is also abbreviated as a SKU. This allows you in the back end of your store to identify different types of products based on the stock keeping unit if you have that for your store. If you're not using SKUs, you can leave this section blank. In addition to the barcode section, if you are selling different types of books or different types of media files, you can include the barcode details here as well. Again, if you do not have either of these items, that is totally okay. You could always create a stock keeping unit, and you guessed it, I'll include a link at the bottom of this video on how to create your own stock keeping units. And you can also make sure if you wanted to register an official barcode to do that yourself at a different time. So we want to track the quantity of all of these items. So I have my location of my store, and I'm going to say that I have 100 shirts that are available at this store. If I click on this button, which is continue selling when out of stock, the store is going to show that the product is out of stock to all my customers, but it's still going to allow my customers to purchase the item. You want to do this if you're expecting a new order coming in very quickly, or if you know that your customers won't be upset if they're waiting a little bit longer to receive their items after they make their purchase. And then finally, for the shipping section, you want to specify whether or not this is a physical product. Obviously, this is a t-shirt, so I'm going to enter half a pound, which honestly is way too much anyway, but just for the purpose of this video. And then also where this was created and where it's going to be sent from. So I'm going to send my item from the United States, and you want to make sure that this is correct just for the purpose of customs, so you don't get charged any type of fees if you're selling this or shipping this overseas. So the harmonized system code is a little bit more specific for advanced users. We're not going to enter a harmonized system code for this example, but I'll link to more information on how you can use this field as well if you're really interested. And then finally, the option setting. So this is a new feature. It was not around a couple years ago, but let's imagine that you have different options like the color of the t-shirt or the size. Obviously, if you're selling t-shirts, you probably have different sizes. So I can say that the size is small, medium, and large. And then I can add another option, which is color. And I can say that I want red, blue, and green. And then you can even add additional options such as the material, the style, etc. Let me show you what it looks like just with these two options for now, and then we'll come back and see if there's any other variants that we want to add. So for the options that we added at the top right here, it's going to create a variant for each one of the different combinations. You can imagine this is going to get very complex the more options that you have. So if you have a different pricing for, say, a medium red shirt versus a medium green shirt or a large green shirt, you want to modify the different prices right here. And this is important because you're also going to have custom SKUs and barcodes, if you're using SKUs and barcodes, for each one of these different variants as well. Of course, you can also individually modify the quantity of each item that you have for each one of these variations. And of course, if you're selling a lot of shirts, you want to make sure that you're doing individual quantities for each combination so you don't sell out of one size or one color. Okay, so remember earlier when we were creating our page, I said one of the most important parts of this entire process on your Shopify store is the search engine listing or SEO of your store. So if we click on the edit button, we can see that there is a page title and a meta description and a URL handle. So we want to make our page title very specific and very good for people that are searching for these types of products. So instead of just calling it t-shirt, I'm going to call it Summer Collection T-shirts, all sizes, male and female. And then I'm going to have the name of my Shopify store. Okay, so this is almost perfect because I've almost used the maximum of 70 characters. Now, you'll notice instead of including just t-shirt like we had earlier, if someone looks for summer collection or they search for male female t-shirts or they look for the Wire store, they're going to be able to see this as a search result than if they had just typed in t-shirt, which you can imagine a lot more people are going to be searching, but you're going to have a lot more competition. So I'm really emphasizing this point because I see a lot of different customers, or excuse me, different e-commerce vendors when they're trying to create different listings for their store. They spend so much time on the options and the different styles for their t-shirt and their product pages, but they neglect the search engine listing, which is how new customers are going to find your store at the bottom. So it's really important to spend time on the search engine listing. It's really important that for your meta description, you're describing and using all the possible characters that you can use. And of course, make sure your URL handle is unique, just so that folks understand what they're getting when they browse the page. For example, you don't want to have a URL handle that is a bunch of numbers because, again, if somebody looks at this result when they're scrolling through the Google results, they're not really going to know what this ID means. So just make sure that's very specific to what you're selling. Okay, so we're going to leave the meta description the way it is, and we're going to click on Save. And now that we've clicked on Save, we have the product created message, and we can preview what this product is going to look like within our store. And you'll notice on the right-hand side, we have our option picker, and this is the options that we added earlier. And so we can modify this. Of course, if you wanted to, you could add different photos correlating to each one of the different colors of your shirts that you're selling or your different product variations. But for now, we're just going to keep it as one right here. This information at the bottom of the product itself comes from your theme. So you're not going to modify the free shipping or the hassle-free exchanges from your product itself. You're going to go into your theme settings and modify this bottom portion of the product listing. So that is pretty much it. We've gone through the process of adding and modifying our theme. We've gone and we added a custom domain using that other video. We've set up our different payment providers. We've added a product, and we've done so much more in this video, all in the span of 30 minutes. If you're done and you're ready to send your store live, you can go into the sales channel under online store. And at the top of the page, it's going to see that your store is in development. So you can see your store password or click on the Learn More button to publish your store and make it live for all the world to see. I hope that this helped. If you have any questions or want additional guides on any of the different features or functionality within Shopify, please go ahead and leave a comment at the bottom of this video. I do read each and every video comment that comes in. You can also check out wire.com. There's a link below for that as well. I have a bunch of other guides and walkthroughs of different settings that you can modify for your online store on Shopify. So thanks again for watching. I hope this helped, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Hey there, before you go, I wanted you to know that this video is not sponsored, and I create all these videos in my free time. If you want to support this channel, please consider donating $1 or more using the Super Thanks button at the bottom of this video. Anything you donate goes directly to me and helps fuel my coffee addiction. It encourages me to make more videos like this in the future. Thanks again for your support.